It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. All right.
Yeah.
This is besides the story of the woman. You see the story of the woman that put a message in a bottle and put it out there in the sea and let it go because she was looking for love. And she got an angry letter back in the bottle saying, "Stop littering." Besides that story being one of my favorite of the weekend, this was my favorite audio cut from last week on The View.
All
right?
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg on health insurance to show you just how ignorant these people are.
Mm-hmm.
To just show you how clueless they are. In fact, as I've always said before, The View gives the impression, the false stereotype impression that women are completely and totally clueless.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
Mm-hmm.
That they act strictly on emotion. There is no critical thinking skills. By the way, it's an incorrect stereotype.
Mm-hmm.
But every time I watch it, that's what I think. I'm like, wow. It's almost as if the producers of the show said, let's get the most ignorant people we can possibly find, make them all women, because there are a lot of men that are ignorant too.
Mm-hmm.
But this just continues year after year after year after year after year. And it's really amazing to see this. All right, here we go. Whoopi Goldberg on health insurance. All right?
Okay.
Here we go.
There are things we can fool with and things we can't. Healthcare is one of those things that you shouldn't be able to fool with. And insurance companies who you pay, I pay into my insurance, you pay into your insurance. I don't understand. If I don't go to the hospital for a whole year, where's my money? Why don't you give me the money back?
Yeah, that's exactly how insurance works.
I mean, it's just this is when we say we're dealing with children in kindergarten.
Yeah,
We really are.
we are.
Where's
we are.
my money? I mean,
Right.
the money should be coming back if I don't use it.
Right.
That's how insurance should work.
Mm-hmm. Sure. That's exactly how insurance works.
My gosh. Now, I wish it in my fairyland money tree delusions that a money tree must exist out there and we just take from it.
Right.
I wish it was true.
Across all insurances.
Across all insurance, and that I would get the rebate at this point in my life.
Right. After not filing any claims on your car or your house.
Yeah.
If you have homeowners insurance.
Yep. No claim.
Or no health claims for the year. By the way, could this be the next push for Democrats? Force insurance companies to refund the health insurance premiums if you never use the insurance. If you don't file a claim for a year, that the insurance companies have to give the money back.
Well, there's going to be one problem.
Mm-hmm.
There would be no insurance companies to get insurance
They
from.
would close the doors and turn off the lights immediately upon that bill being signed into law if something stupid like that were to happen.
I mean,
my
God. I mean, it's just you can't you and they're like,
I shouldn't jinx it, but I can't remember the last accident I had. Actually, I do. And it wasn't my fault. A guy hit me from behind. His insurance was great and took care of everything. It was really very seamless, and I was very impressed. Man, that goes back That's got to go back 15, 20 years.
10 years ago, my last one. I was at the driving range, and I backed out. I just didn't see the guy behind me. And he was right there. I just barely touched his bumper. I mean, you could look at it and see a tiny dent. And so we come out, and I, give my insurance and, everything and he sees that my insurance expires in a month. So he calls the cops.
Okay. Also, probably one of the number one fans of The View.
Yeah, exactly. He calls the cops, and he goes, what am I here? Well, I wanted to call you because his insurance expires in a month. And we all know you get the card, and then you get a month before you get the.
Yeah. And the lesson for you, don't back into stupid people.
Yeah. And I never heard from my insurance company on it at all. I mean, it probably wasn't. I could barely see a tiny, like a scratch in the bumper. And the cop was like, "This is what you called me for?"
Yeah.
There's nothing illegal. Well, I wasn't sure because his insurance expires in a month. Then the officer said, "Is your favorite show The View, or are you related to Whoopi?"
Yeah.
No, but yeah, you see that, and to think that she was the counselor on Star Trek 2.0, whatever it was. Well, she was the bartender counselor.
Right. Kind of like every bartender is a counselor.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Well, she was the synthahol.
Not even a real bar.
Yeah, because you got buzzed in the bar, but then when you walked out, the effects of the synthahol were gone.
Right. You thought you were drunk, but you weren't.
Exactly. So,
and on The View, they often talk like they're drunk, but truth be told, they're probably not.
Now, on the first Star Trek, if you've ever seen the drinks that they had there, they were very colorful drinks, probably very high in sugar content.
Yeah.
Again, the replicator, though, probably. Imagine somebody turn it on. They're talking about the replicator? What the hell are they going with this today? Where the hell's the show going? Where we always go, liberals are ignorant.
Well, it's, again, this is, she clearly doesn't handle her own finances, number one. And if she does, someone please help her. Because if you think that's how health insurance works, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's, because we've heard in the past, typically what it is, well, I pay the premium, I want this to be covered. It should be covered. Well, certain things aren't covered, and you know that when you sign up. That it is a contract. And it's really a hedging game. It's a betting game. You're buying the insurance because you believe, you're betting that you're going to need that coverage. There is the other side of it. They're hoping, or betting, hedging, that you won't. And in the overall game, there's a mixture of people in that entire group. A lot of people pay into premiums and rarely use their health insurance, and they buy it. It's the just in case. It really isn't necessarily a bet. It's just in case, but you're doing that. You're going out of your way to make sure that you're going to be covered if something does happen, because even if you're very healthy, accidents can happen. So then you're going into, the overall coverage of the insurance companies, and they have to go through that balance of, all right, people paying into it that don't take from the system. This is what we went through with Obamacare. This is why they devised a plan to allow parents to pay for their children that weren't children all the way up to 26 years of age. Because what they wanted them to do, they knew that, well, there were a lot of helicopter parents would just keep them on the plan and pay for it, and also knew that in that age group, 26 and younger, they were likely to not use that insurance. That's what they needed. They needed the premium from that person being covered. Mom and dad will cover that for them. And then them to not use that. And we go back to the Robert Reich thing at Berkeley. If I were running for president, and I were going to tell you the truth about how I feel about health care, here's what I'm going to tell you. Young people, you're going to pay more. Smattering of applause, and I do mean just a few people. Old people, we're going to let you go home so you can die.
Yay!
Now, that cut goes back, 15, 20 years? How long have we been playing that?
That was, I think, 2007, 2008.
Wow. So we're talking.
At Berkeley, yeah.
Yeah. So next year, that'll be 18. That's
Yeah.
quickly approaching 2 decades old.
Well,
the point being is that Robert Reich is older now. We've always wanted to, in the recent years, wanted to ask him as he grows older how he still if he still feels the same way. But we heard that from Obama. The town hall where the young girl said, well, my grandmother was able to get a procedure decided on by the family, the doctor, and my grandmother that extended her life, and she lived to, I forget what it was, 102, 105. She lived several more years. And Obama suggested to her, well, maybe we should have just given her a pill, and then she would have not gone through the procedure, and then maybe she didn't live as long. And it was the most bizarre answer. But that's how they think. Typically, what we hear from the liberals is on insurance premiums is, well, I pay the insurance premium, I should be covered for everything. And of course, now we take it to the new level with Whoopi and crew at The View always take it to a new level, and that is, if I don't use it, I should get all the premiums back.
Well, and what I find interesting is it's through the whole Obamacare debate that she was a part of. She doesn't even seem to remember what Obamacare was insisting on, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
Number one, having the kids to 26, and the mandate. And the fine if you don't,
right?
Because they were clear about it. We need millions of young, healthy people to pay, and pay a lot for the sick people,
right?
And she seems to have no clue. I mean, you're talking about somebody with not even, I don't know. I don't want to insult elementary school kids, but not even an elementary school knowledge of how insurance works. At all.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole the insurance industry depends on people who don't have to use the insurance in order to pay for the people who use the insurance.
Yep. That's how it works.
And completely clueless. That's why I just thought I shake. That's when I get as I call it, my perverted sense of awe. Like, I can't believe you're this ignorant.
Right.
It's like, wow, you're really more ignorant than I thought. You're really more clueless than I thought. You're an adult, and you have no idea how the world works at all. The basic things that drive, for example, the insurance industry, and you're completely clueless on it.
Right. Right.
Just pretty amazing.
Yeah. That's how. Again, I don't even know that I call that the populist attitude. That's just delusional.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. The populist attitude is I pay for my insurance. They should cover everything.
Right.
But that's not what you signed up for.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I'm just going to ignore that.
Right.
If I pay insurance premiums, it should cover whatever I think it should cover.
Right.
I wish I could sign contracts like that for employment.
Yeah. Let me know how that works out. Give that a go.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. Due to safety concerns, many motor carriers have policies that limit or prohibit the use of cruise control. You should only use it in good driving conditions, during daylight hours, and on roads that have light traffic, few curves or hills, and a consistent speed limit. Never use cruise control when operating in adverse driving conditions, including wet, icy, or slippery roads, during rush hour in heavy traffic or on congested highways, at night, or when you're tired or fatigued. You want to be controlling and adjusting your speed as you drive instead of having to suddenly brake if you encounter an obstacle. In the case of a slippery road surface, you want to be able to slow your vehicle by not accelerating instead of using the brakes whenever possible. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. There's a headline: FAA to lift emergency flight restrictions at 6 a.m. this morning.
All right.
The FAA flight reduction emergency order will officially end at 6 a.m., allowing normal operations to resume nationwide. According to officials, the order will be lifted at 6 a.m. Eastern, following recommendations from the FAA's safety team. The decision came after the safety reviews and improvement in air traffic control staffing levels across the U.S., according to a Sunday announcement from the FAA. So,
all right,
there you go. Things back to normal. You know, we said, well, we believed it would rebound in a week. They were talking, well, this might go on through, might affect the Thanksgiving travel. We said, we don't see how. And it looks like it's not going to. If anything, it would be weather. When we get to this time of the year, weather would affect it. But so that's the end of it. A lot of Democrats still upset that the government reopened.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the one I got to find? Here's listen to Senator Chris Murphy yesterday on This Week. All right, here we go.
All right,
this is just so stupid.
Was this a flawed strategy to begin with? The idea of using a shutdown as leverage?
Well, Democrats didn't want this shutdown, but we have values. And so if you want Democratic votes for a budget, it has to be a moral budget that doesn't destroy our democracy. The fact of the matter is, if you don't put constraints on Donald Trump's illegality, this democracy isn't going to be here next November. It isn't going to be here in 2028.
He doesn't know where to go.
No.
Didn't know where to go. Has no answer at all. Just to throw the same thing that and the public already figured that out. How they voted in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Public doesn't view Trump as a threat to democracy at all.
No, but you just keep saying the same old because you got nothing else, and that's where the Democrats are right now. And it's not it's not a winning game. Hasn't been a winning game on that front. So but if you got nothing else, you just keep repeating it.
Here's Representative Jayapal on the end of the shutdown.
Now to your questions. The first question, obviously, that a lot of people have is, what's my take on Schumer and the 8 Democrats that folded to Trump? Look, I was absolutely furious. I still am. That they folded when I feel like we just had gotten the momentum, the wind behind our sails.
So everybody knows now, and we'll have some of the polling that was done on the shutdown. Everybody knows Democrats wanted the shutdown and are angry that the shutdown has ended. There's no doubt about it because they've said it in their own words.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're furious. And they wanted to keep this thing going forever. It's certainly causing a rift in their party. But they would love to have the shutdown. They would love to have SNAP benefits on hold, government workers at home not getting paid. They would love that to keep going.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when you choose. Well, for the longest time, we are probably the only American media outlet that tells you the results of the Canadian Super Bowl.
That actually
may be true.
may be true.
And yesterday, the Saskatchewan Roughriders beat the Montreal Alouettes 25-17 to win the Canadian Super Bowl. When asked about it, Trump said, CFL sucks.
And it's one more reason we need to make them the 51st state.
They need American football.
This 110. Did they shorten the field yet? Are they shortened? They're going to shorten the field.
They're not going to shorten the field till 2027.
All right.
Now next year,
do we know how short it's going to? Is it going to
100
go
yards?
100?
Yeah. And then they're going to
see who's coming around.
And then they're and then they're not going to do the rule where if you punt and it goes into the end zone and you don't return it, the punting team gets 1 point. I think it's the same with if they miss a field goal, if you don't return it. I'm not sure, but I know from the punt, if you don't return it, it's like you get one. Now they're taking that out, and they said Canadians are angry at it. But when you see that they just sold out their Super Bowl last week.
Yeah, well.
And the stadium holds about 30,000.
Yeah.
The popularity of the CFL. Now, the thing is, when I grew up a Hamilton Tiger Cats fan.
Okay.
Do you know? Here's something. Here's depressing news if you're a Buffalo Bills fan.
All right.
By the way, the Bills won yesterday, which means the fans must not have been yelling, "Let's go Bills."
Yeah. I guess so.
Remember, Let's Go Bills is like, let's go Brandon.
Right. It means tax the rich, according to Governor Hochul.
Yes.
That's the whole new meaning.
Yes.
And so when the fans shout that, then it distracts, the rich, who are the ones wearing the uniforms on the field.
I'm not really sure, but I think it might be one of the few times in history the Hamilton Tiger Cats beat the Buffalo Bills in an exhibition game like in 1960 or 61. They played the CFL.
All right.
But
so they played CFL rules?
I can't remember. It was an exhibition. I don't remember it.
Right.
I saw it years ago, saw it in the statistic books of hey, did you know that the Bills are one of the few teams to ever lose to a CFL team? It's like, what?
Now, is the XFL still around? We're still doing that?
Yeah, I forgot what it is now. It's the USFL.
All right, so
they've all gone into one, whatever it is.
What they need to do, lengthen their field 300 yards. Okay? 300 yards. But here's the thing. If you get tackled, you can get up and keep running.
Well, and only 2 downs, because the CFL has 3 downs.
Yeah,
they don't have 4 downs, just 3.
Okay.
And even though I grew up watching, because when you grew up on the border, you watch a ton of stuff,
right?
Back then, because we got all the Canadian channels from Toronto and
right, yeah.
And so we'd be watching. I used to watch a bunch of Junior A hockey. Who watches Junior A hockey in the United States? But it was always on, TV. So you watched it. But even though I've been watching it since as long as I can remember watching anything on TV, I've never got used to the 3 downs.
Yeah. Right.
All right. It's 2nd and 10. They didn't get the first down. They need to punt. No, you got 1 more down.
That'd be so weird. It just sounds like you're getting shortchanged.
Well, it makes it more of a passing league.
Yeah, okay.
And the field's wider, too. It's a lot wider.
Oh, all right.
It's wider and longer.
Okay.
And they have, I think, 27 men on each, on the offense and defense.
Seriously.
No, I've
300 yards, okay? The officials would have to ride golf carts.
Just like
Let's
the
make
villages.
that happen.
Just like the villages.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But
well then, congratulations. Who'd you say won?
The Saskatchewan Roughriders.
All right. Then congratulations to the Roughriders.
Yes.
When will they decide not to have their parade?
When it gets below minus 30 degrees.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, all right.
Okay.
Let's get to it. Some interesting things from the shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
This was Fareed Zakaria, well known, on CNN for years.
Yeah.
As liberal as you can get.
Right.
And I just find this really interesting. It's just, we are in a fascinating time right now in history and politics as to where we're going.
Yeah, we are.
Where we're actually going on the issues and how people are actually looking at the major parties and on both sides.
Yeah.
The whole Marjorie Taylor Greene Trump thing isn't just about two personalities. You and I were talking about this in a pre-show meeting.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I'm not a big fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene at all, I know you're not either.
I haven't been from day one.
Yeah. But she does represent the issues that the Hill.com had a thing. Here are the 5 issues, and it's the 5 issues we brought up last week when talking about the H-1B visas, Israel, Russia, Ukraine, all these things. That is a certain segment of support for Trump.
Right.
And the worry is if Trump loses them or doesn't lose them, but makes them sort of, he's not doing really what I want, will that hurt turnout? That's the concern. Will that hurt turnout in the midterms?
Right. Yeah.
That's really the concern out there. But on the Democrat side, this is really interesting. Zakaria's take on the shutdown. Here we go.
But first, here's my take. It's hard to see how the government shutdown and reopening is anything other than a defeat for the Democrats. A high-stakes confrontation that ended with their own goals unmet and their message muddled. If they didn't have the leverage or were not willing to use it to prolong the shutdown, then why did they stage it at all? The shutdown reinforced the image of the Democrats as feckless. They promised wonderful-sounding new programs, free childcare, but in fact preside over bloated bureaucracies and inept execution. If America has an affordability crisis, it tends to be in places Democrats govern, like New York, Illinois, and California, which all feature high taxes, soaring housing costs, and stagnant outcomes in basic areas like education and infrastructure.
I don't have to go any further than that. It basically lays out, everything that we have said. It is amazing to sit in this chair and see Democrats, and not just, lifelong Democrats too. People that have been liberal looking at it now because he could be a right-wing conservative saying that.
Yeah.
I was going to say he could be part of the Heritage Foundation. Oh, let's go to the Cato Institute.
Yeah.
But that could be a conservative think tank analysis of what's going on. Now, affordability is hitting everywhere in the United States, but the worst places to live when it comes to cost of living, he just laid it out. It's almost as if you and I wrote a script and gave it to him from, a couple of weeks ago.
Because you can make the case that in the blue areas, the affordability crisis was going on before what we're seeing now. There's always been an affordability crisis in those blue areas. We go back to, pre-Biden years. And a colleague of ours who was a reporter out in California, lifelong, was set to retire within a few years, and actually talked about it on the air. I heard him talk about it on the air, said California is not, and he's not, usually doesn't give commentary, he's just a reporter. It was a pretty good, very good reporter. But he just said it's, California is going through, what a lot of blue states are going through, and that is people are having to decide to leave. And he said, I know that I lived my whole life here, and I can't afford to stay in California. I'm going to retire here in a few years, and I'm moving out of this state, and I love my state, but I can't stay. Those are things that you look at in terms of affordability. That happened even before the spike in inflation. That has been the case. Californians know for the longest time, these blue areas have been much more expensive. So you could say their affordability crisis, and of course, it's even greater during these times, but relatively, those are the hot spots of the affordability crisis where the Democrats rule because of all of those regulations that they put into place. The cost of living is always higher.
He said if Democrats want to rebuild that faith, they must rediscover the lost art of competence. The lost art of competence.
Well, yeah.
But it's impossible to be competent when you're delusional.
Right. Well, competence requires critical thinking. The two go hand in hand. To be competent, you must engage in and put into practice the critical thinking and the results of that critical thinking, which are solutions. And you can't, honestly, there's no other way to be competent. That's the entire part of it. It's not a lost art. Now, maybe tongue-in-cheek lost art in the way that it's phrased here. It seems like you could call it a lost art because there's so much incompetence in the world right now, and a lot of it lives on the left. But the fact of the matter is that you engage in critical thinking, you apply those ideas that come as a result of those thoughts, of that critical thinking, and you're going to see real solutions.
But there's such a lack, when you look on the left, and probably you can make the case for many on the right, there's really a lack of real private sector industry business experience in government.
Yeah.
And on the left, we know there's not. You look at Mandami's, work history. You look at the socialist in, I just can't think of her name right now at the moment, in Seattle. And you're not talking about people that really don't have, they haven't run a business.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't run a business and had to make payroll and do all that. Well, when you live in the theoretical world, when you've never been in the real world, it's impossible to be competent.
Yeah, right.
You have to spend some time in the real world in order to be competent. So we're not talking about, in fact, well, people are just too lazy and they don't want to get there. No, they live in a theoretical world.
Yeah.
They live in a world of theories where the economic theories that they believe, history shows, has massively failed. And they just ignore that. Well, how can you ignore economic systems that have failed? So many people in politics, because they've never actually had real world experience.
Right. And that's it. And without that experience, there are just certain things you're not going to learn.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. 6 a.m. this morning. Airports are all supposed to be at 100% capacity. Just the normal stuff, where you get to the gate and they say, the flight's been delayed 15 minutes, and then 17 minutes from that time it'll be, and the flight's delayed another 15 minutes, and it's delayed another 15 minutes. And why? The paperwork stuff or whatever.
Right. And then they start the boarding process. Okay, we'll start with infants, but not the parents. Infants, if you would like to board. Yeah.
Here we go. The travel. See, I'm traveling 3 times. It's like, oh boy.
Yeah. Well,
Luckily, I'm traveling. I think all my flights are relatively early, which is good.
yeah. All right, good.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. All right, so we got some polls out, all right?
Okay.
There was a poll done in Georgia, on Georgia swing voters. The Engages Psycho focus groups. These are focus groups they did, okay?
All right, okay.
It was not good for Democrats. These are swing voters now. 7 of the 13 swing voters in their panels said Democrats came out of the shutdown looking worse than Republicans. 2 said Republicans look worse, and 4 said both parties looked equally bad. 8 of the 13 who flipped to Trump still expressed overall approval of Trump's action. The 5 who had issues had concerns about things like inflation, high food cost, and immigration enforcement. That shows Trump is still holding strong, but it's an indication that Trump and Republicans could do more to sell how those issues are being made better. You know, there's a ton of stuff over the weekend, and you could see it on X influencers and on the Sunday morning news shows, people coming out saying Trump has said so many incredible things here, you know, looking at foreign policy and all that, and he has. He really has.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
now, the things he has done on foreign policy, you can make the case that people who have the same opinion as MTG aren't happy. And that's a part of the constituency of Trump. But as we said, you can do all the best things in the world. We said this last January, February, March, April, May, last year, the year before that. You can do great things. The economy matters. Not just the overall economy, but the economy of people. And the economy of people is what they feel. And if you tell people that what they're seeing, hearing, feeling every day is not accurate, when it's clearly self-evident to them, you lose every time. It's that simple. We told that to Biden, and we've given the same advice to Trump. I thought it was interesting because the memes the memes out there when Trump signed the executive order reducing cost. It was like over 100 different items.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the bananas and whatever.
Right.
100 different items.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the meme that was out there says Trump it says Trump announces tariffs. And it's like, this is going to make our country so rich. Prices are going to come down. We're going to create millions of jobs. And that's like, Trump raises tariffs. Then Trump lowers tariffs. Art of the deal. And then back again. Trump raises tariffs. This is going to increase jobs. It's going to reduce the cost of businesses, and we're going to become so incredibly rich. And then Trump lowers taxes. Art of the deal.
Yeah,
because that was actually happening over the weekend. I read you some of the influencers out there in our pre-show meeting that were saying, there it is. Trump is focusing on affordability, cutting the prices of all these goods that you buy. He's laser focused on this.
Yeah. Well, it's clear the word affordable after that last election a couple of weeks ago, it was the new word of the GOP. Do something about prices.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't matter to people until they start to feel it at the store. One of the things that this particular president has been very good at overall as a person over the years by everybody who's encountered him is listening to people and then being responsive to what they're saying. As president, that in the private sector, that's one thing, certainly in dealing with employees or doing business. But when you're the president, it's everything. Listening to the people as to where they are on what is the core issue. If there is one core issue, it's the economy, because it affects everyone. There is no one who is immune from the effect of an economy. A good economy helps everybody. A bad economy hurts everyone, just to certain degrees in both cases. So you listen to what you put your finger on the pulse. You look at whatever polls you have on the inside, and you take those numbers and you do something with them instead of battling with people on social media or in the liberal activist media or anywhere else. But when the words started appearing, and Ramaswamy, we played that, it was the night of the election.
Yeah.
And we played it because it's something we had been saying for the longest time. Now, we got our butts handed to us for us repeatedly after, talking about it over and over and over again, because I don't know that anybody else, there were only a few people that were saying it, but when the party started saying it, that's what changed. And they know this going into 26. You're going to have to make every effort to improve the economy, to make things more affordable. And this move on tariffs here is proof they recognize that. There's no way around that.
It was interesting because still, as of Friday and Saturday, I mean, the debate going on, and I look at the influencers, the cheerleaders for the president that are out there, that have become the designated cheerleaders, and that's all a part of what social media is. It's what it's what they do. A lot more pushback though in the comments.
Yeah.
A lot more pushback. I mean, there were some saying, well, that's the beauty about Trump. I mean, this is the art of the deal. Even if he recognizes that he may have gone too far, he doesn't have the ego to keep him from reversing what he did. And those comments just got blasted. It's like, wait a minute. When you make the cost of goods, however you do it, when you make them more expensive, you don't improve an economy.
Right.
You may bring jobs back, or you may fight against unfair trading practices. You might bring some jobs back years later, but it doesn't have an immediate effect.
Right.
If you kept them on long term. But the pushback was pretty big, and it was really interesting to watch, as I call them, the always Trumpers, struggle with the whole thing of, well, why is he reversing the tariffs if it works? And Trump's insistence on stating that foreigners pay the tariffs had everybody questioning, then why are you lowering the tariffs on food?
Right.
If Americans don't pay the tariff, why are you lowering the prices of food and letting all these bad foreign nations off the hook?
Right.
The problem with things that are more socialist is, as we talked about the other day, you really can't tell the truth. When you start promoting socialist economics, you can't tell the truth. Because the public would never go for it if you told them the truth.
Right.
And the same thing with tariffs. The $2,000 now. By the way, it seems to have disappeared, the $200 for Social Security for 6 months in a row.
Well,
I haven't seen that one. That didn't appear over the weekend.
I'm sorry about that for you.
I was thinking, how are they going to keep me out of it? It's like, you can't keep me out of it. Well, you don't get it if you're collecting Social Security. You don't get it if you're working another job. So I'm working another job, which means I'm still paying Social Security.
Right.
I'm collecting, but I'm still paying into Social Security and Medicare. That I don't get the $200.
No, in fact, I heard they were considering making you and only you pay $200 more.
So, but it is an acknowledgement by the administration. That's the thing. It is the admission of the administration, even the president, who is saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah.
But obviously, as they are now admitting by the actions they're taking, tariffs affect prices.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
to what degree is to what degree
well,
the
company
president
will said early this year there will be some pain.
Right.
And this is further recognition of that in a big way when you talk about so many food items that are now exempt from the tariffs.
And they're the ones that we have brought up in each inflation report when you look at it.
Right, yeah.
And we have said, look, gasoline goes up and down. Gasoline was way down. It went up 50 cents, so I was over what it was when and now it went down 20 cents over the weekend. So gas goes all over the place. I said, they're focusing on gasoline, but that's not the problem. Problem is not gasoline.
Right.
Problem is food. Problem is every time I go in to buy food, I'm like, God, I can't. I just walked in and got a couple of things, $80, $90. And we warn the administration over and over again, it's food, you've got to do something. And so they heard it.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, well, it was clear that they were getting the message when they started repeating it within the administration. Multiple people in the administration were using the word affordable, and it just kept going, and it took only a matter of days to act on it.
You also can't have Bessent out there, his Treasury Secretary, saying one thing and Trump saying 180 degrees the opposite.
Right. Yeah.
Which he's still doing.
Yeah.
On who pays for it, and it's like, well, then you lowered it. Stop it. People aren't stupid. Don't treat people like Democrat politicians treat their constituents. People aren't stupid, especially when it comes to their own personal economics. They know how they're doing, and they know what's causing it.
Yeah.
Don't be Biden.
Exactly. You know, it really is, honestly, it's especially on the economy. All you have to do, you were one of the first to say it in 2016 about Trump when he was running in 2016. Trump acknowledged the problem.
Yeah.
He didn't. It was primarily on the border. He didn't need to come in with a detailed plan like campaigns in the past. Campaigns in years prior would have to come in and go, well, I've got a 3-point plan or whatever. We go back to Herman Cain's 999 plan and things that kind of stuck along the way that made some impression and had some discussion. He didn't need to even get that specific. He only needed to acknowledge the problem. And that's actually what the results showed when the Wall Street Journal, the day after the 2016 election, went in and just did a man on the street informal interviews of people in Harlem. What was the common thread in those answers? Why did Trump win and Hillary didn't? Because Trump was talking about things here in the U.S., and she was talking about things in other parts of the world. So he was acknowledging the problem. Acknowledging and being that everyday guy has actually been something that's while it's not unique to him as an individual, it is in this situation unique to him as a president because he's been very good at it. You shouldn't be missing the beat on this. There's no reason. And the question is, where do they go from here on tariffs? Could we see more exemptions? We still have a court decision on the way, whenever that's going to be. And does it just go away if the court says he doesn't have the authority to do it? Do they just let that sleeping dog lie?
Plus, when, as we said from the very beginning, we started with was Doge, don't overpromise. Remember the
exactly.
Remember the $2,000, $3,000
right.
Doge checks, and now the tariff checks. They're coming. Well, not before Christmas, and then Besant's constantly, tempering him on that. Well, it's not going to really be a $2,000 check. Don't say
it. It's
in
the form of taxes, and it's like
right.
It's not really even. It's not a new move. There isn't. You're not going to notice anything that already hasn't happened. There's and don't. When you overpromise and underdeliver, and the economy is still bad, it shows that you're more like the Democrats in that way, and he's not. We know he's not.
No.
Why on this core issue would you want to be?
Because there are things he's done in the economy that I completely and totally agree with.
Oh, yeah.
Deregulation, he's gone further than any Republicans have ever done. Corporate taxes, he owns that.
Yep. He gets
is
all the credit for doing that in his first term.
Yeah.
And again, he had record low levels of unemployment in minority groups in his first term. And the economy was thriving. And that was pre-inflation.
And wage increases, too.
And wage increases. Yep. Get those policies back into place. We know that it's a mountain, it's an Everest of a mountain to climb based on all the things the Democrats did during the Biden years. But if any president is capable of putting those things into motion, it's this president.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
We are just a couple of weeks away from the official end of the Atlantic hurricane season.
November 30th, to be exact, according to USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey. Usually those final weeks of the hurricane season are quiet.
As we reach this mid-November point, we have seen to this date 13 named tropical cyclones and 5 hurricanes.
Compared to the May National Hurricane Center forecast of 13 to 19 named storms and 6 to 10 hurricanes. And the August update, that range slightly lowered from 5 to 8 hurricanes.
Based on that August forecast, we are at the very low end of that forecast. In a technical sense, they were right, at least with the August update, but both of those numbers on the very lowest end, 13 named storms and 5 hurricanes.
A displaced African monsoon and very hostile western Atlantic wind-shearing weather systems were behind the lower tropical storm count, and no hurricanes making landfall on the U.S. coast. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. MTG speaks and said she's sorry that she became part of the toxic back and forth politics with Trump. We'll get to that here in just because it is a little bit humorous. She also said, with Trump posted on Truth Social, put her life in danger. So we'll tell you what we believe is going on there. Plus, the Epstein files.
All right.
Let's end this. Just release everything this week.
Right.
For
Yeah.
God's sakes.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. The back and forth between MTG and the president. The president put this out, I believe this was Friday. I am withdrawing my support and endorsement for Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia over the past few weeks, despite my record, my creating record achievements for our country, including a total and complete victory on the shutdown, closed borders, low taxes, no men and women's sports, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, being respected by every country in the world as opposed to being the laughingstock that we were just 12 months ago, having trillions of dollars invested in the USA, and having created the hottest country anywhere in the world from being a dead country just 12 months ago, and so much more. I see wacky Marjorie, all I see wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating that she should not run for senator or governor, that she was at 12% and didn't stand any chance, unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has told many people that she is upset, and I don't return her phone calls anymore, but with 219 congressmen, women, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members, almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. I understand that wonderful conservative people are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district of Georgia, that they too are fed up with her and her antics, and if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left, even doing The View with their low IQ Republican-hating anchors. Thank you again for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. So that was his Truth Social post. And then he called her Marjorie Traitor Greene and said she is a disgrace to the Republican Party on Saturday. Part of the response from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, she was very critical last week when we brought this up, that, basically Trump is not America first. She is. That Trump is not putting America first. As we talked about last week, some of the things that hit was the back and forth between Laura Ingraham and him on the HB1 visas. That got quite heated a little bit. But here she is now saying that she apologizes for taking part in toxic politics. Okay. All right, here we go.
I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences.
Yeah.
And
well, actually, that's not true. I keep hearing this all the time. That's a piece of rhetoric that at times is not true. I don't have more things in common with Mandani than I have similar.
No.
And we're talking about ideological things. If you're saying, well, you're both human beings, that doesn't count.
Well, if she's talking about in general and not within the political realm, we might have a discussion. But if we're talking about right versus left, which is really the only way to take it, since she's a member of Congress, then tell me, give me that big old long list of similarities you're talking about.
But I just, the best article written was the Marjorie Taylor Greene repents of her creator. Jeffrey Blair.
Wow.
National Review. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants you to know she's sorry. Sorry for all those god-awful things she said and did back when she was, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Speaking to Dana Bash on CNN this weekend, she hit her knees and assumed the supplicant pose. I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. It's been something I thought of about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives of politics. Lately, what? A one-day transformation when you went on CNN?
Yeah.
And I'm committed to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another. Amazing talk from the lady most known for hanging out with Nick Fuentes, speculating about the existence of Jewish space lasers, posting a picture of her pointing a gun at the Squad, and catfighting with fellow trash hound Jasmine Crockett in a House committee hearing. Who replaced my MTG with this pod person? This forgery Taylor Greene. Are we really losing our incorrigible bleach blonde bludgeon to the siren songs of decency and good manners? After all she's fought for, it feels inexplicable, like watching Madonna quit showbiz at the peak of her popularity in order to become a Carmelite nun. But perhaps her newfound contrition arises from other sources. Right now, she needs all the friends she can get, and the mainstream media just so happen to be waiting conveniently for her with arms suddenly outstretched. Why? Because Donald Trump and Greene are now officially on the outs with one another, and the temptation to further encourage MAGA's creator and one of his most notable creations to go to war with one another is irresistible. For once, I refuse to hold the media's obvious delight in this development against them. Not only is this story entertaining in its own right, it is filled with symbolic meaning as well for those currently sheltered in place underneath a rock. The news, after weeks of being needled in the press by Marjorie Taylor Greene about Israel, about the economy, about the relentlessly about the Epstein files, Trump finally denounced her on Truth Social on Friday afternoon, officially withdrawing his endorsement and support.
Here's what I would say. Here's what I think. I don't know, actually, if I full-on subscribe to this, but I think this is a strong theory. She's auditioning. Dana Bash, The View. I think she sees that she's not going to have, there really isn't a political place for her. And, or at least at the moment. And so what do? Because before she did this, I don't know, weird mea culpa apology tour she's doing, then, it was full on, as you just, through that article, described the things she's done in the past. You and I weren't a fan of hers from the beginning. I have not been a fan from day one. But what it reeks of is somebody who's really trying to be media friendly. So why would you try to be media friendly? Politically, the media is not going to help you. So are you hoping to get a job on a panel somewhere?
Well, I mean, the whole thing, they believe, Scott Jennings was saying, started when Trump sent her a thing because she's talking about, running for Senate.
Yeah.
It was like, don't.
Right.
You don't stand a chance.
Right.
He said that against Ossoff that this was Scott Jennings said. So somebody in the White House must have got to him and said, this is what happened, that she was down by 20 points. That there's no way she can win a state race in Georgia.
Right.
And, and that's partly what it came from. But you and I look at a number of things, the Epstein thing. Trump reversing last week and then reversing again, where he said, no, release it, brought up a ton of questions. It's like, these are the kind of things, they have nothing against you. Otherwise it would have been brought out. Stephen A. Smith was screaming about it last week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll have to find that audio cut because I remember I played it. We didn't get a chance to play it on the air. I played it off the air, and you just looked at me and said, I mean, does he just scream like this about everything?
He pretty much does.
It's like, yeah.
The other day I heard him say, Merry Christmas!
It's like, you better say Merry Christmas, because Merry Christmas is where it's at. But I think they're both very reactionary people.
Yeah.
Obviously Trump can be very, very reactionary, and so can she.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it about deeper? Well, it's about all the things that we have brought up. It is about everything with his base. Now, where does his base go from here? I don't know. I mean, because he's done. All right. For Democrats out there, he's not going to run for a third term.
Right.
I guess we're done with that one, aren't we? After all the stupidity of that one.
He's going to sign an executive order canceling presidential elections for the entire future.
But I do think it's about, there have been inside MAGA, however you describe MAGA, we know some of the principles that they stood for. They weren't happy that the president took out the nuclear reactors in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Not happy about that. Not happy how close he has become to Israel. That's a part of MAGA, not all, but which then they believe got him to agree to go after the nuclear plants. Whoever in MAGA thinks that is wrong. MAGA thought he was going to side against Zelensky. That didn't happen. Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't happy about that. They're not happy with how this Epstein thing became a complete cluster. Complete. For no reason at all. Never had to be there.
Right.
And it's like, does anybody communicate? Why did the president last week say, no, we shouldn't release it? And what they're saying is he may have friends that are on that list, or it looks bad for friends of his.
Mm.
Sorry, you can't be concerned with that, especially when you ran on releasing the Epstein files.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the first things you did. So that was sort of a mess there, which probably got them ticked off. The H-1B visas.
Mm-hmm.
How Trump is constantly saying we need a lot more legal immigration. That goes against a core of not just MAGA.
No, that's actually I think that's a MAGA populist center independent decision right now that we talked about going into the 24 election. Look, you seal the border, it's going to be a while before we talk about legal immigration again in a serious way. It's just too soon. After how badly it was broken by the Biden administration. That's just something that isn't again, going to be isn't on the table. Yeah. People aren't willing to have that discussion right now.
And prices.
Mm-hmm. Which,
people
with
look
this
at
move on tariffs, clearly they acknowledge now.
Yeah. And so I think taking the salacious back and forth out of it is actually about issues.
Mm-hmm. And now Trump supporting the vote on Epstein and lowering prices on food imports by taking the tariffs, putting the tariff exemptions in, all of that pretty much happening in just a matter of days.
Yeah, that reversal, they're going, why is this all happening?
Mm-hmm.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so the entire thing, when you get down to it, because people want to pay attention, and I agree with the National Review article, it's just too juicy for the networks. It's MTG against Trump, yeah. So of course.
Oh, yeah.
But when you get by that, and you and I have dealt with the hype and the showbiz aspect of politics for such a long time, we go, okay, but what's it really about? And I think it is about, and I think she does represent a certain portion of the president's support. And it's, the Jeff Epstein back and forth. It was like, what's going on?
Well, like we mentioned, once or twice before, and that is, well, who's more MAGA or the president?
Right. Yeah, that started the H-1B visas, foreign affairs, that we have talked about before. Those are things that right now Republicans are concerned with.
Yeah.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.